So, Judas. Okay, how far was I? I forget how. Like, where were we at last?
Yeah, you just said that this guy was fighting an army, basically bare knuckle with his own army, and then like kept taking out guys, and his army was getting stronger and stronger, no matter how many guys he was throwing at him.
Yes. So, as a follow-up for this, there's a certain point where I can't. Obviously, it didn't happen this way, but like, the wording made it seem like he just outstretched his sword and killed an entire army with it.
What?
Obviously that didn't happen. But I'm just thinking to myself, wouldn't it be cool if that is actually what happened?
Yeah, it would be kind of cool if he just be like, he freaking like overly extends his sword and slays him.
Or more like a kind of like a Dragon Ball Z Trunks sort of moment. He just like swings his sword once and they all just blow up.
Yeah, powerful extend, mother flipper.
Yeah, but then the enemy starts throwing out some dirty tactics. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, or poo at them.
No, dirty tactics. Like, basically they say, okay, we give. Come over here and we'll negotiate for peace.
Uncle.
And so they go over there for negotiating peace. And they get ambushed.
Of course, because it was a setup.
It was a setup. So, then they kick their asses again.
Repeat.
And then they try again. They say, let's negotiate peace.
Didn't work.
Oh, they fell for it again.
Of course it did. Hey, wait,
Well,
let me get this straight. It just literally just happened. They're like, let's do it again.
It wasn't exactly literally, but yeah, they did the same thing exactly, and then they ambushed them again.
Okay, then.
So then, during this second one, essentially, then like another couple fights ensues, and then the tragic moment strikes.
Uh-oh.
Judas dies.
Oh no, that's not good.
Yep. And about halfway through the book, Judas dies.
The main character dies.
The main character dies. Judas Maccabees dies. And I'm just thinking, wait a minute. Hold up. You just have your main character die halfway through the book?
You can't do that. That's illegal. Might be.
But, like, I think I'm a little bit more confused by the fact that there's a second book.
I'm more confused by the fact that he died, but the book's still going.
Yes. So, then, oh boy, then the bad stuff happens, man. So, almost immediately after he dies, I'm greeted with this word of iniquitous and impious.
Okay.
And if you don't know what those mean, basically,
Instant
it describes...
karma.
No, iniquitous and impious, in referring to a bunch of men that sprung up from the middle of nowhere.
What? Zombies?
Yeah. No. Worse than zombies.
How? What are they?
Modern day politicians.
What?
Yes.
No!
So in effect, this is what they had for their old time version of modern day politicians. And see, for the longest time, Judas had been effectively, while he was in the entirety of the Israel, had effectively been slaughtering and systematically killing every single one of these disgusting little weirdos.
Oh boy.
Because his mindset was, we have been, for the longest time, in effective slavery for 140 years because of people like this. We are not doing this shit again.
Yeah, we learned to listen the first time.
And then he died, and they came crawling out of the woodwork.
Of course.
And so they started appointing themselves as higher representatives. And they started making deals with all the people who were oppressing them for the longest time, so as they could keep the other rabble down.
Of course.
Mm-hmm. So at this point, Judas's brother Jonathan, he's kind of just done with this, and also his brother Simon. But you know, Simon doesn't really get mentioned all that often.
Of course not.
Yeah. So Jonathan, he's like kind of just ticked off at all this, and so he decides to take up the mantle where Judas left off, and it's his turn to start beating the living shit out of their enemies.
Oh, jeez.
Now he's not quite as good as Judas is, but by golly, is he effective.
I'd imagine so.
Yeah, he's also got the death of his brother, which has got him a little bit perturbed right now.
That's quite an energy booster, I'll say. Adrenaline rush.
So he starts doing the same thing that Judas did. However, unfortunately, he wasn't exactly able to get rid of all of the impious.
Of course not.
No, make it too easy.
Too easy.
But anyway, what he was able to do was a little bit of a fun thing. See, there was a certain moment where they tried the exact same thing again, where they decided to say, let's negotiate for peace.
How stupid is there something in the water for these people to keep falling for it?
Oh, they don't fall for it this time.
Good.
In my personal opinion, I just like to think that Jonathan just looked at them like, I wish I could make the face, but it's like, you know, like are you serious, bro?
Yeah. Bruh. Really? Well,
like the same look. Like, oh, sorry.
Yeah. No, just like, bro, really? Well, it worked twice already, so why wouldn't we think it would work a third time?
Yeah. I like to think that he looked at them the same way that Eggman looked at Elise in the fan dub. Just like the caucasity of this bitch.
Yeah, there's that stare for like 3 minutes straight.
And so he starts walking towards them with his army. And they're like, wait a minute, hold up. And they start offering more and more shit to them. And then he's just like fed up with it at this point. He just runs them through with his sword.
If you spare my life, I'll give you a planet. 3 planets! 2.5.
You just went down.
I'm a haggler?
Yeah, and so he stabs him to death.
As he probably should have. And this is what I think about your peace treaty.
And so they actually do make peace with the Romans, who were rising in power at the time.
Oh, of course.
I'm not exactly sure. See, I haven't read too far into it. I've got 4 chapters left of it to go, so I'm not entirely sure how it ends. I do know that it ends with the Jews somehow in captivity of, or under the thumb of the Romans.
Well, that's how every story ends. And then the Jews were in captivity.
Yep. I do understand that they were. I do understand that they did, in fact, make a successful peace treaty with them at the start.
That's good, I think.
Then again, like, everyone was underneath Rome at the time.
Okay.
And so then the king of Egypt. So the king of Egypt also makes peace with another man named Alexander, who is not to be mistaken for the Alexander the Great, because why would you assume that?
Original character, do not steal.
Right. And then there's this other character who Jonathan had been fighting with for a very long time. I cannot remember his name off the top of my head.
Yep, I gotcha.
But basically, this guy goes to the king of Egypt, lies about Alexander, makes a bunch of false accusations about him. King obviously believes him. Yep. Originally, he planned to give his daughter to Alexander to marry.
Of course.
But now that that's all on there, he's like, nah, we ain't gonna do that. Instead, we're gonna kill him.
Oh, but of course, what else are we going to do?
Right, because we're gonna listen to the person that Jonathan probably warned me against, rather than, you know, Alexander, who's done literally nothing to me this whole time.
It's 11:30 and we got nothing else to do the rest of the day. We might as well.
Honestly, I you know what? Not to get too political, but I'm not gonna lie. This Egyptian king, the more I read about him, obviously he's dead at this point, but like, as far as I read, he sounds like Joe Biden, but old.
So Joe Biden.
But old-timey in Egypt.
Well, I guess the end Egypt part would do it.
Yeah, so he's like Joe Biden, but in Egypt.
We're gonna show you this brand new product. It's Joe Biden, but in Egypt.
Yep.
But-
Yep. So,
Buy
yep.
all his action figures.
I think you remember about Cleopatra, right? You
Yeah,
know Cleopatra.
I know of Cleopatra. Yeah,
Yeah, she's mentioned in this book.
of course she is. We already dropped.
She is.
Look, after you name
Sorry.
drop Alexander the Great, it's like, okay, and we have Cleopatra. That's not a shock anymore.
Yep, and that's the yep. Cleopatra is the one that he originally planned to have marry to Alexander, but instead he had his head brought to him on a silver platter.
Nice.
And I'm pretty sure this is. I'm not entirely sure what exactly happened because like it was a little bit off with the syllables, but like I'm pretty sure this is the same Alexander that like honored Jonathan and like basically told all the impious assholes to like leave him alone.
Leave me alone.
Yep. But yep. So that's pretty much how far I am in it, and I'm kind of just like upset because I'm just kind of annoyed at this whole thing.
Why? Because Judas died?
Well, yeah, a little bit of that, but like then I'm like, why is everybody in the old times an idiot?
Well, they were in the old times. Not much. Why is everyone in modern day an idiot? People are idiots. That's kind of a consistent throughout history.
Well, except for some people, they were just badasses. Like, I just like to think that Jonathan is just walking towards them as they're constantly trying to negotiate, and he just like got his sword out. He's like, "Yep, keep talking, keep talking, keep talking," and then just runs them through.
All right. Which, if he got Judas's sword, he wouldn't even need to do that because it could just extend halfway across the field.
Which is not actually accurate, but you know,
It's
it's fun to imagine. That stuff.
it's a fun headcanon. Powerful extend, yeet.
And here I am just thinking, wait a minute, why did they never do an adaptation of this?
Because they want to do Passion of the Christ for the 8th time.
I mean, yeah, I get Christ is important, but like, why are you doing Samson? And why are you doing David? And why are you doing Jonah? Jonah was an asshole!
Because they're the most well-known ones.
I guess so, but this one, honestly, yeah, this feels like a... Honestly, you know what, I'm not gonna lie, like, not to sound sexist, but this feels like the guy book of the Bible.
I wrote this one in my man cave. It was an actual cave because we're that far back in time.
I feel like, yeah, I genuinely feel like if you started, like, advertising this sort of thing to more of the guys, they'd be like, heck yeah, that's awesome. Let's read about this one. This one's awesome.
Hello, I'll take 3 Biblies, please.
I would like to read the book of Maccabees, please.
You know he dies halfway through. Spoilers, man!
You know he dies halfway through the first book, and there's a second book. I think that's more of the shocker, too. I think that's a plot twist.
Seriously, that's like in the Harry Potter series, they just kill Harry Potter in the first book, like, okay, so what are the other 6 books about?
Yeah, exactly. I'm still wondering myself. Like, what's the other book about?
It's
It's so... Sorry.
No, it's just gonna be like, that's probably like the main hook to get you to read the next one. It's like, what the fuck could you possibly write about? Okay,
Like, so far we're just following his brother Jonathan.
okay, so he didn't actually die. We lied in that part. Imagine just retcons the previous book.
I mean, I don't know why they'd have a funeral for him if that was the case.
Okay, so then he came back as a freaking zombie, and then he fought another army.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna lie though. Like the book of Maccabees like has 0 amounts of supernatural stuff going on in it. It even mentions like there were no prophets of God up until this point. So like there's no sensu beans. There's no God in this. And like God. Sure, there's like the basic teachings of him, but like he ain't helping directly.
So then God dropped by and said hi, and we said all said hi back to God. So anyway, back to the manslaughter.
Yeah, back to the manslaughter. I do like that funny idea of like they're peaceful protesting. They slaughtered us. Well, okay, plan B. Attack!
Charge!
Kick their asses!
Wait, what? We didn't... Wait, no, you're supposed to stand there and minus it. No! I didn't plan on the counterattack.
Yeah, you're not supposed to counterattack. You're supposed to wait and watch as we kill you all.
Wait, I thought this was a turn-based RPG. I thought we were going by turn-based RPG logic. It was our turn to attack. No!
Yep. I'm not gonna lie. I think there's like some sort of like an underlying thing about that, so like that sort of thing, because obviously the empire had been living through generational wealth for the last 140 years.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
Meanwhile, the Jews were all suffering for the last 140 years.
Yeah.
And they've been doing nothing but training and fasting. Obviously, the guys who have been doing nothing but suffering and building their strength up are going to win.
Yeah.
As opposed to the guys who have been sitting in the lap of luxury and all they've been doing is killing and slaughtering everybody for the last 140 years.
Yeah, you're kind of setting yourself up. But you just assume that it'll go on, that those times will go on forever and they couldn't possibly end until they do.
Mm-hmm. Sounds kind of like a certain country I know.
Yeah. Thanks, Switzerland.
Yeah, definitely not America.
Shout out to our Switzerland viewers, none of you.
All 9 of you. Or all 9 of you.
Could be. We're only getting views in Switzerland. They really like my tier list.